Good evening. Welcome to the Hanson Override Information Forum. We have just a few housekeeping items to go over this evening. My name's Lisa Green. I'm the town administrator for the town of Hanson. Been here 4 years now, so this is my first time ever moderating something like this, so bear with me if I fumble a little bit here and there. But we have, at our table, we have our town accountant, Eric Kinscherf. We have school committee member Hillary Niffen. We have fire chief Rob O'Brien, police chief Michael Mix, our highway director Richard Jasmine, select board member Vice Chair Ann Rain. We have member Ed Heel. We have our chair Laura Fitzgerald Kemet, and we have Joseph Weeks. Welcome everybody. And just to go over a few housekeeping items. This forum is information only. This is not the floor for arguing or providing your opinion or support for or against an override. That is for a town meeting, and that is for the election. So this is information only. We answer questions regarding the override. We do have a PowerPoint, and there are printouts outside the door if you haven't picked one up. We also have some additional information. The Whitman-Hanson Regional School District has provided their FY26 preliminary budget information for you. We also have information on tax relief for seniors and veterans. Gives the information on what we have for tax relief, and you can call our town assessor. That information is on this pamphlet. And we also have, right now we have a survey that's being conducted by Bridgewater State University. There is a flyer, again, outside with the materials that provides access to the survey. It's online, or you can take it from your phone with using the QR code. It's completely confidential. The results are compiled by Bridgewater State University, and they will be presenting the results at the select board meeting next Tuesday, April 29th. Okay. All right, so what is an override? So the town of Hanson is allowed to increase its tax levy by 2.5% each year. The tax levy is the amount of taxes that the town can assess and collect from town residents. Any new taxable development can be also increased the tax levy, which is called new growth. Only the town residents can override the levy limit at the annual election. It looks like a little bit of the bottom is cut off a little bit, but that information is in the pamphlets that you have. Next slide. The town of Hanson revenue sources through taxation by real estate and personal property taxes, state aid, which is Chapter 70, unrestricted general government aid, local program reimbursements, local receipts, which is the motor vehicle excise, meals excise, licenses, permits, fees, and investment income. We also have other financing sources. Sorry, it's cut off at the bottom, which is free cash, stabilization, special revenue funds, and ambulance receipts. Do we have any questions so far? No? Good? Okay, the Hanson budget is funded predominantly by property taxes. You have some charts here that show basically what our local aid is, local receipts, and by taxes. So we have FY25 and then the projections for FY26. And property taxes are the main source of revenue. As you can see by the pie chart, we have property taxes are 85% of the revenue for the town of Hanson. Local receipts, 9%, and local aid is down to 6%. Local aid basically is money that comes from the state to the town. Next slide, please. Okay, The FY26 proposed budget by category. So we have general government, which is your town hall, your treasurer collector, your town clerk, town assessor, building, planning, zoning, and conservation. That is 7% of the budget. Public safety, fire and police is 20% of our budget. Our debt, we have a very low debt percentage, is 1%. Employee benefits are 16%, and that's medical, dental, retirement. Library and recreation, only 2% of the budget. Human services, which is your council on aging and board of health, is 1%. Public works, which they plow our streets and roads, make it safe in the winter, 5% of the budget. Education is 48% of our budget. And as you can see, there are dollar figures up there, approximately how much in dollars goes to each of those operating departments. Do we have any questions so far? Good? The town of Hanson is asking for a $3 million increase in the tax levy. And what this does is it allows the hiring of 4 additional firefighters. The amount of that is $344,000. It allows for a sustainable budget by eliminating the appropriation of $1.061 million in free cash, which helps our bond rating. Basically, it helps our credit when we have to borrow. The better your credit, the lower your interest rates. And what this will do is that this will avert the following reduction in services. $940,000 approximately for Whitman Hanson Regional School District. $130,000 for facilities manager and IT. $160,000 eliminates 1 full-time police officer and 1 firefighter. $216,000 will defer the purchase of 3 police cruisers. $73,000 will eliminate 1 full-time highway position and other expenses regarding highway, which could equal snow and ice, private road grading, and fixing of roads in general. $27,000 reduction in transfer station hours. $49,000 reduction in health, council on aging, library, and parks and fields. Next slide, please. The PowerPoint includes Hanson override history. There's a lot of chatter out there about all the overrides Hanson has asked for over the years. All this information is kept for history through the Division of Local Services. They keep history of overrides for every single town in the Commonwealth. As you can see, the town of Hanson has asked for a number of overrides, many of them for the schools, some of them for general operations. In the majority of them under loss, that means basically not passed. There were, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There were 7 overrides that were asked of the town that were passed. And again, we had 1, 2, 3, 4 of those, 5, 6. 6 of those were for the schools, 1 for general operation, 1 for public works and facilities, and 1 for culture and recreation. So that outlines the overrides that actually passed, and it will give you the amounts of the overrides over in the right-hand corner. Okay, resources right now for the override. There is a website out there, www.hansonbudget.com. On this website, right on the very first page, front page, there's a tax impact calculator, and you can input the assessed value of your home. You can certainly call the assessor's office to get the assessed value of your home. You can look it up online, but you plug that amount in for your assessed value, and it will give you your families the monthly cost and then the annual cost of the tax increased. Yes, I'm sorry.
I did want to point out when you're going over the Hanson override history, yes, 7 overrides, but we're looking back to 1989 here. So I think that that's important to note. And so if we look really just even back to 2005, there's been three that passed. So I do see quite a bit of, people, they're asking us for overrides every year. We are not asking for overrides every year. And as Ms. Green mentioned, this is from DLS from the state, so it's data-based. So I just thought it was important to clarify that, yes, 7, but the time frame is critical there.
Go. Sorry. Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, next slide. Okay, what happens next? So the town meeting, Monday, May 5, that's when vote will take place on the FY26 budget. FY26 budget. The Article 5 is a non-override budget, and Article 6 is the budget with the override. And then we have town election on Saturday, May 17th. That will have a ballot question. Do you have any questions? I can open it up to the floor. Yes, please come to the mic and identify yourself.
Hi, Patty Squires from Brook Street. I just have a couple questions because I'm just trying to understand this better, as I'm sure everybody else is. Going back to what is an override, where it said the town of Hanson is allowed to increase its tax levy by 2.5 each year. Is that a term or is that forever and ever, like increase 2.5 each year?
That's the Prop 2.5, which is under the statute that the tax levy cannot be increased by 2.5. So that's what Prop 2.5 is.
But is there a term to that? I'm not understanding how many years.
Okay, Eric Hincher, Town Accountant. So, no, there's no term to it. So basically, you have a levy, you add 2.5% to it, and that becomes your new levy for the next year. Then you go 2.5% on top of that. So it's like a compounding effect.
Okay. All right, thank you. And the other question is, on the page that has the FY 2026 proposed budget by category, the debt, what is that debt? You went into great detail on the other things. I was just curious what the debt was. I don't know if you can answer that, if you know, but.
I believe, I got to double check and I'll check it again, but I think it's a police building project. We might have like one more payment on that. And I think there's a principal payment on.
No, there's we borrowed for some software for the middle school. And I think that so we've got the police station, the software for the middle school.
I believe was it an HVAC system for the middle school?
Great, thank you. And then the last question is on the page, the override is asking for $3 million increase in the tax levy, $130,000 for facilities manager and IT. Is that for the schools or is that for somewhere else, other town building?
Sorry. Hello?
The override is asking for $3 million increase in tax levy?
That's for the town. Currently, we have nobody doing IT.
Yeah.
And as you can imagine, that is not a sustainable model.
Right.
Because we are very reliant on computers. And a lot of the things that we now offer to constituents is online. And all of our employees are online, and this includes fire and police and everybody in town. So we currently don't have anybody in that position. And then facilities, we currently don't have anybody who's responsible for overseeing the upkeep of the buildings. And that is, again, not a sustainable model for us to not have anybody looking at our buildings and keeping an eye on what needs to be fixed up and prioritizing. If we keep up at this pace, the buildings are all going to be in rapid disrepair, and we'll be asking ourselves what happened 5 years from now.
Great. Thank you very much. I appreciate the answers.
Yes, my name is John Chumsey. I live on Lakeside Road, and it's a private road. I just want to make sure that if we accept this override, that the services that are now being done for the private roads will continue in full operation, rather than be cut as it looks like it's going to be if this is not approved.
They absolutely
Mr.
will continue.
Jasmine?
Yes, absolutely. We will continue to provide services to the
Okay.
private roads. Yep.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions?
Okay, well, we'll be doing this again on Thursday, so if you think of any questions in between, shoot us an email, reach out to our office. There's a lot of information that's available online. The budget website, hansonbudget.com, the warrants are all online, and we will be working on, the Finance Committee finalized their recommendations about what they thought they would recommend town meeting vote on. And we'll be doing the same next week. We wanted to wait until the Finance Committee had their recommendations, and we'll be making that available as soon as we finish that. But in the interim, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. It's a big ask, it's a heavy lift, and we know that. We don't take this lightly at all. But the dire circumstances that would happen if we do not ask for this are something that we felt would be irresponsible if we didn't ask for this override. But again, it's up to the voters, it's up to town meeting, and it's up to people at the ballot. So, did you want to step up, Mrs. Joyce, and just say who you are and where you live?
Hi, I'm Gail Joyce, Lakeside Road. The information that you're offering tonight is great, okay? But why wasn't it not publicized sooner? So, I mean, there's hardly anyone here tonight. It was only posted just the other day. A lot of people do not use computers. Some don't even look at, at the newspaper and that. So, I mean, this is very important for the town to come together and, find out how all of you are working, to get our budget, under control. This is something that's hit every year, that we're behind the 8 ball. And I mean, this is wonderful information, but there's not enough people here. And, I mean, I went around today because I didn't even know about that new website that was out for the budget or something like this. I find it out from my neighbor, that there was a meeting tonight, and I mean, this is a deplorable, for all of this money, that is being trying to fall within the budget. I mean, I'm just, a common citizen. I'm going to be 77 years old. I've lived in this town for 48 years, and they're always hitting the small people. I mean, highway department is on the list of,
Mrs. Joyce, just a gentle reminder that we had said, certainly I feel you're passionate about this issue, but this is not the place to say whether you're in favor or not in favor, or if you've got, but I do want to respond to your question about why this information wasn't presented sooner.
Right.
So we did put it in the Express several times. We've discussed it in open meeting, every single meeting that we've had, which has been quite a few. And we did put it on the website. But I do hear your feedback that perhaps some people would not be reached that way. and that perhaps we could use like a sign in at town hall or some other method, and we will take that under advisement, and I do appreciate that feedback,
Right.
because we do want to reach people where they are, and we do our darndest, but it doesn't mean that we always hit the mark on it. So,
Right.
So I appreciate that feedback.
Right, all right. I appreciate the time, but it would be more helpful, especially with school vacations coming up. People are not aware of it. People do not read the newspaper anymore. They look online, okay? They don't even watch it on PBS or whatever the station is. So it's important that you get this information out, because you only have 2 weeks to come up with all of this, and, you know, and then people don't know that are passionate like myself, so thank you.
I just want to say, other than newspapers, Facebook, online, volunteer people that are trying to get the information out every single week, I don't know what else we can do. No, well, but they don't even look at the signs. I mean, if you're that passionate about it, please come and get involved. We are not trying to hide anything from anybody. I can get passionate about this too, because it's hard. We are trying as hard as we can with very limited resources, and it's not like we're spending it frivolously. We're doing pretty well, I think, and I'm also a 48-year resident. I've been here since 1978, so 46. 47, oh my God. Anyways, it's been a long time. I can even show you a little snippet that I found that I wrote for the Express, the Hanson Express, back in the day, pumping up the fact that we needed the override. Because when I was a kid, I saw the future. Now I'm old, and I see trying to stay in my home. I see trying to maintain services for everybody in town, not just one age group. So we need people involved. That's what we need. And we need to not have it be contentious against us, because we're trying to do the best thing we can do. That's all I can say.
I would just like to hand over the microphone to our school committee member, fire chief, police chief, and our highway director, just to say some closing remarks.
Hi, Hillary Niffin, school committee. I think it's important to know that the schools are just asking for level services. We are not asking to add any programs, any more services for the students, but just to maintain what we have. One thing that isn't mentioned here that I think is often lost is the Whitman-Hanson Regional School District is a municipality. And so with that comes a lot more cost than another school district. So for example, I teach in Pembroke, and to compare the budget in Pembroke to the budget of Whitman-Hanson Regional School District, you can't do that, because in Pembroke, my health insurance is paid for by the town of Pembroke, not by the regional school district. In Whitman-Hanson, any employee who is employed by the regional school district and receives their health insurance and their benefits from the district pays for that. It doesn't get separated. So for police and fire, their employees who take benefits, the town of Hanson pays for those benefits. So that's an added cost. And when we talk about increases, unfortunately in education, a lot of things that we have to do are mandates, and they're unfunded mandates. Special education tuition has increased 23%, I think it's closer to 27% since FY23. We do not have an option to not pay those bills for those students, and they come from our revenues and what we have. Reimbursement for transportation. As a regional school district, we are required to transport students. We are all, I don't know that we're always told we're going to receive 100% reimbursement, but once upon a time, the regional school districts were, and we never come close to that. I think this year it's projected to be 75% reimbursement. There's a lot of things that the school district has to pay for as a regional school district that other school districts do not, and I think it's very important. that we understand that moving forward, and that we are not adding services for the students. And there are services that we could add that right down the road many students have that our students do not. We are not, because we understand the constraints of the budgets of both towns. And so we are just asking to maintain the services that the students have. So thank you.
Good evening, Rob O'Brien, Fire Chief of the town of Hanson. We are actually asking for something as part of the override. Last year in 2024, we had over 900 runs that were simultaneous calls in the town of Hanson. Currently, right now, almost 50% of the calls that we do are simultaneous calls. Today alone, in probably about a 30 to 45 minute period of time, we were 3 calls deep. Both ambulances were out of town. Mutual aid had to come into town. We had 1 person come back on the recall. So what we're looking for is we are asking for 4 firefighter paramedics to be hired. What that does is that helps ensure that we can get the second ambulance on the road, because if the first ambulance, because if it's a critical life-threatening situation, 2 paramedics will go in the back and 1 has to drive to the hospital, which leaves 1, usually the shift commander, the officer, back in town. That then gives us another person back in town to help get the second ambulance on the road. The other thing it does do is when both ambulances are out of town, which again happens of 50% or more of the time, it keeps the shift commander, who's the lieutenant, back in town so that they can respond to the 3rd, 4th, 5th calls. On Friday afternoon, we had a sizable brush fire in town that brought 3 mutual aid communities in, plus State Forest Fire Control in for the brush fire. At the same time, a medical came in, so the ambulance went to the medical, and the shift commander and one of the firefighter paramedics went to the brush fire. While they were at the brush fire, the ambulance was clearing the hospital, and another medical came in. 12-minute response time, because mutual aid was either already in town at the brush fire or they were tied up in their own communities with calls. At the same time as all this is going on, a fire alarm came in and a second reported brush fire came in. So, and that is all in about a 90-minute period of time. So we are asking for more just so that we can try to ensure we have a firefighter paramedic in the town of Hanson at all times. We will still have to rely on mutual aid. That is not going to diminish us relying on mutual aid. But what it will help with is getting somebody to your home much quicker in the event that, God forbid, you need to call 911. And we always encourage people, call 911. And if the override doesn't pass, that's okay. We are still going to run the way we do with 4 people, absolutely. We're just trying to look to improve our services to the town of Hanson in the community. Thank you.
I'm Mike Mix, I'm the police chief. I've been a police officer for almost 30 years, and policing's changed quite a bit. I got to tell you what I'm asking for, my status quo. I don't want to lose any officers. For the first time this year, in probably 2 or 3 years, or at least since COVID, we're fully staffed. And when I'm not fully staffed, that either means less officers on the road, or the officers are actually getting more work. And when I started, it was actually kind of a lot easier of a job. Now the time on calls is a lot longer. We're responsible for a lot more things. We're borderline social workers at this point too. And not that it's a bad, I think it's developed into a good career in a nice way, and I think we're doing the right things. But you have to understand, I need the people to do it. And all I want is to keep the staffing where it is, and continue to have decent working conditions for the officers that are here, and make sure their equipment works and is sufficient. I know when I got here, some things were not sufficient, and I'm grateful that the town has supported the things I have asked for over the years and provided the officers with the tools and the training and everything else they need to do their job. One other side note is when there's no ambulances in town, believe me, you don't want a cop showing up for either your medical needs, because we are trained, but basically just to keep you alive. It's not the best training, and we're not known for our bedside manner either. Also, you don't want us putting out house fires. We've did that once. We've done it, yeah. We've done it a couple of times, but we're not real successful with the neighbor's garden hoses. So again, we work hand in hand. I support what the fire chief is asking for. I've seen and I can confirm what he's telling you. Just like the police are on calls longer, they're stuck at the hospitals longer. They're doing a lot more mental health calls, just like we do, which are time-consuming. Again, all I want to do is maintain the officers we have and make sure that we're fully staffed so that we can continue to serve the town the way we have. Thank you.
Richard Jasmine, the Director of the Highway Department. Like Chief Mixon O'Brien both said, this budget would allow me to be fully staffed for the first time in quite some time. With being fully staffed, we're going to be able to put a full road crew out. You may think that we're non-existent right now because we're very short-staffed. Fully staffed, we can maintain all the ball fields. We have 17 fields we have to manicure all summer and spring and fall. Those people take away from our road crew. So we can't do large projects, in turn saving money. If I can do that, that'll limit all contractors, essentially. If we can do everything in-house, it doesn't look great that we're asking for an override, but in the long run, it's going to save this town a heck of a lot of money. So, come out. Thank you.
Okay for a question. My name is Kathy DePasqua Egan. I'm at 63 Montponce Street. I heard, I think it's Hillary Niffen, say that it's just a level services budget. Is that correct? For the schools. But there's been 20 to 30 years of cuts leading up to this year. So although we're only seeking level services, we really should be seeking increased services to try to get us back to a previously existent level that was much better for our students. So I hope people will keep that in mind, that a level services budget for the schools is terrible. It's the best that we're going to get this year. And also, there's people from the Finance Committee, Select Board, other elected and appointed officials who can't be here tonight. A lot of people plan their vacation week for this week. If we had this meeting last week or next week, perhaps we would have gotten additional, not only representation from our leaders, but also in the audience. So I would make a recommendation that we, if we ever have one of these meetings again, we don't have it on the school vacation week, but I do appreciate all the work that you guys went through to get this. Thanks.
So there is another meeting Thursday morning, 9 a.m. at the Council on Aging Senior Center, and we will have another forum on next Wednesday, the 30th, right here at the Hanson Middle School at 6:30. I would like for our library director and Council on Aging director to say a few words as well. Karen Stover.
Hi, yes, Karen Stover, library director. We are also asking for level services. We are serving more people than we did years ago, and we actually aren't completely fully staffed, but we are managing as best we can. We have a lot of programs. That's been a huge increase. All the people, residents, are demanding different services in terms of ebooks and like programming. So, level services, we can continue to maintain what we have. We also have state aid, so that's certification through the state. We receive additional funds. Override failing, we would be in jeopardy of losing our state aid certification. That funding provides most of our programming, so we would have to eliminate most of our programming. And also, we are in the middle of a planning and design project, and that also requires us to maintain state aid certification. So that project would be terminated if we did lose our state aid. So again, we just are asking that we have, maintain our services currently. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mary Collins, the Director of Elder Affairs. I actually recognize one person in the, a number of people in the audience, however, one person in particular whose father has been, was in our supportive day program for many, many years. And that is in addition, it's a program that we have in addition to the other services that we provide at the senior center. And those programs in particular for supportive day are for those who have memory impairment, who are still living in the community, whether it be with a spouse or a child, and the spouse or child has to work, and it's not safe to leave that person at home alone, unattended. So they're able to come to our senior center for the supportive day program. It's now 2 days a week. It'll be coming back to 5 days a week as soon as our modular unit arrives, which will be in a couple of months. So we're very thrilled about that. We're a small department. We take 4%, 4/10 of the budget. We rarely ask for more than that, knowing that we have other departments that are in need. In particular, what do we call them? The triumvirate here. Police, fire, and highway. Those three departments in particular are so vital to the well-being and health and safety of our seniors. And I think in particular for the Hanson seniors, those are instrumental. Just as the school department, respectfully, just as the school department is elected to represent what they feel is best for the children, I will speak as the Elder Affairs Director in that we're just simply asking for level funding. Nothing more than that. We have not added any staff to our department in years. And our operation budget is $12,000 a year. So we work on minimal, and what we are able to receive from that time, and the three people that really put the time in, is a multitude of happy, content, and safe seniors, with the help, in particular, of police and fire. So I just ask that you might consider level funding and allowing us to continue for the services that we provide. Thank you.
Any final words from the select board? Well, we'd like to thank everybody for joining us tonight for this forum. If anybody has questions, needs more information, the town administrator's office, the door is always open. Give me a call or come in. I invite any resident to come in and talk with me to get the information. We have a lot of information here. Please go online, take the survey. They're asking for a deadline of April 25, so that will give Bridgewater State time to compile the results so that they can present it to the select board next Tuesday. And again, we are holding another forum on Thursday morning at 9 a.m. at the Senior Center, and again next Wednesday, the 30th, at 6:30 here at the middle school. Thank you so much.